Hi guys, my name is Tania and I am finally filming a video in my new house. I'm going to ease back into this really gently with a book tag because I've been tagged by the gorgeous Cindy over at Artistically Literate. I will link her down below, and she has tagged me to do the Pokemon Go book tag. I've definitely been playing far too much Pokemon Go and not doing enough reading, and I am very proud of my team. Instinct, yeah! This tag was created over on the book blog Read at Midnight, and it's made its way across onto BookTube. So without further ado, let us begin. First off, we have Starters, the book that started your love for reading. So I adored every Roald Dahl book that I came across, but my absolute favourite was Fantastic Mr. Fox. I probably said this before on another book tag. We had this system in my primary school where you had to read through groups of books in each colour, and you had to finish all the books in a colour before you could move on, and I raced through those books so that I could move on to picking my own books, and then would pick Fantastic Mr. Fox as many times as I could get away with. Next up we have Pikachu, an iconic classic that you will always love. For me, whilst Pride and Prejudice is up there, I'm gonna have to say To Kill a Mockingbird because it is the only book I read in school that I really remember actually loving, which is followed by Zubat, a book that you lost interest in because it is literally everywhere. And for me, sadly, this is pretty much any book by John Green. I'm sorry. Mainly The Fault in Our Stars because I don't actually like Paper Towns, but since they've been made into movies, his books have just been everywhere, and I didn't have that much of a love for them in the first place. Like, I liked them, they're just everywhere now and it's really annoying. I'm sorry, please don't hate me. Next up we have Ditto, a book which reminds you of other books / tropes but that you love anyway. This is a book that I actually just read. It's called Only Ever Yours by Louise O'Neill, and when I looked up at the dates for this, it actually came out crazily close to another book that I loved called A Girl Called Fearless by Catherine Linker, and these both smack heavily of Margaret Atwood's The Handmaid's Tale, and I clearly just have a thing for books that point out female inequality in a dystopian environment. The next Pokemon is Snorlax, a book or series that you haven't started because of its sheer size. And for me, this is Middlemarch by George Eliot, which is a book that I have been planning on reading for the last 10 years now. Next up we have Gengar, a book which kept you up all night. For this I've picked Cinder by Marissa Meyer. The whole series kept me up pretty late, but I found myself a lot more invested in the Cinder arc of the story than anyone else, so it was finding out what happened to her that actually kept me up at night. Next is the ultimate Pokemon pairing of Nidoking and Nidoqueen, and they represent your bookish OTP. I am really bad at this sort of thing. I am generally pretty happy with who ends up with who in the books that I'm reading, so from what I've been reading lately, I am gonna have to roll with Feyre and Rhysand from the A Court of Thorns and Roses series, because we all know that no one was rooting for Tamlin. After that we come to Rapidash, a fire-hot, fast-paced read. For me, this was Anna and the French Kiss by Stephanie Perkins, and also the rest of that trilogy, but I really shot through Anna and the French Kiss because I needed to know what happened in the end. The next Pokemon is Eevee, which stands for a series that you will never get tired of seeing spin-offs of. I could have said Harry Potter, but I wasn't that keen on The Cursed Child, so I'm actually going to roll with the Mortal Instruments series as that is currently ongoing, and I have been enjoying the new books in that series, especially as Clary and Jace were my least favourite characters out of all the groupings, so new characters equals less Clary and Jace, which is excellent for me. Next up is Magikarp, a book or series that turned out to be awesome. I hadn't read any Patrick Ness before I read this series, and I didn't know if it was going to be my kind of thing or not, so this has to be the Chaos Walking trilogy, which I absolutely fell in love with and now need to read more Patrick Ness because of. Moving on to Legendary Pokemon, an overhyped series that you are still excited to read. It has to be Throne of Glass by Sarah J Maas. I actually read the first 2 books feeling like it was severely overhyped and not enjoying it, and now I can't wait to find out what happens next. So yeah. Next we have Mew and Mewtwo, a collector's edition that you wish you owned. I really like the vintage classic versions of Jane Austen's with the like mishmashed inside covers and stuff, and the only one they ever have in any bookshops near me is Pride and Prejudice, and I don't need another copy of Pride and Prejudice yet. I'd rather get another book first, but they never have them. Moving on from Pokemon, we get to the Poké Egg, which is a debut novel that you are very excited for. So Maggie, who makes videos on her own channel, Magazanne, which I will link down below again, is having her first book published super duper soon. Like, it's kind of the end of August, sometime in September I believe. It's called The Big F and is being published by Swoon Reads, and I finally figured out yesterday how to get a copy in the UK using Amazon and Kindle and an ISBN number rather than an actual book title, and I am just super duper hyped for that. Next up is Lure Module, an auto by author. I haven't read all of her books yet, but I am working on it, and after reading A Darker Shade of Magic, for me this is VE/Victoria Schwab because I am absolutely obsessed with A Darker Shade of Magic and A Gathering of Shadows and need to know what happens in that, but also her writing is amazing. The final part of this tag is Servers Down, a distressing moment for any player of Pokemon Go, and it stands for a book release that you have been waiting for since forever. It hasn't been forever, but it feels that way, and the book that I am waiting for is Empire of Storms by Sarah J. Maas, because I need to know what happens next. I'm pretty sure that's my answer for most of these questions involving series. So yeah, that was the Pokemon Go book tag. I would like to tag some people, but I'm not going to say them here because I will forget some, as is my way, and also I'm not entirely sure if some of them are playing Pokemon Go or if they're even that into Pokemon, so I'd rather put their names down below, and if they want to do this tag they can. If they don't want to do it, then that's fine, no pressure. I'd just love to see you doing a tag, and if you want to do it, go for it. Thank you, Cindy, for tagging me, and I will genuinely see you all again very soon. Goodbye! Next up we have Ditto, a book which reminds you of other bush. After that we have Rapidash, a fire-hot red face. I can't do words. Moving on to Legendary Pokemon,